Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the TA stream here at Sin City Crypto. My name is David. I'll be your host for today. Got a lot to talk about today. We finished our live show a couple hours ago, but difference from the live to the PM show, just in case you're first time tuning in, is on this show, we only look at fundamental and technical analysis, charts, metrics, data, numbers, and of course, I'll get my thoughts on certain projects from a narrative standpoint, but nothing news related. And so if you're into that, you're at the right place at the right time. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. So a couple things I want to talk about today. We'll talk about a little bit about Bitcoin. We showed the daily transactions, how that has plummeted. We'll kind of look into this just a little bit. We'll take a look at a Bitcoin chart. It's a decision time for BTC. What is it going to do? Is this going to be just another deviation outside of our current bear pennant pattern, right? We're right there. We're at our pivotal zone at 84.1, plus we're at the bottom range of our pennant here. And so this should break to the downside. But what is it going to do? It's decision time, because we saw this. It was about to get invalidated, and we came right back in. And so there's a lot of indecision in the market right now. We can see a few more of these kind of long-legged doji-style candles, or we can see a big breakout with some volume to the upside, to the downside. Probability say it's going to be downside, so we'll dig into that a little bit. Also, why BNB potentially could be setting up for a really big short squeeze, which could send this thing past $720. We'll take a look at some BNB metrics. We'll look at an H-bar chart, which, by the way, we did do an H-bar video earlier today. And usually I don't have this open, but I got it open today. Maybe we'll put in a trade live on the show. And so we'll see as we go through the charts. All I ask of you is that you participate, you communicate, you like the video. And that's all I got, man. Let's jump right in. Just a couple of hellos real quick. Uncle Jesse, Poman, Crypto Princess, what's going on? Brian Baca, Oren Finkel. Isn't it nice to have someone that pronounces your name correctly? Isn't it just so freaking nice? I know for me it is. I take a lot of pride in that. Greg Nowak, to all of you, welcome in. If you're new, say hello. Also, if there's anything you want me to take a look at or want my thoughts on project-wise, let me know. I'll be more than happy to share that with you. Let's jump in. This is, let me remove myself from the right to the left. Now, earlier this morning, we kind of talked about Bitcoin's transactions falling from 700,000 to 400,000. And this is like 2023 levels. It's a lot of people say it's bear market vibes. And we take a look at blockchain.com. This is the Explorer. And you take a look at on the left here, that is your block number, the hash, and then the miner is mined. What time was it mined? How many transactions? And let me refresh this page. How many transactions were in that block, and what was the fees that the miners earned from the block? And at the height of the bull market, you'll see fees 4, 5, 10 Bitcoin on top of the block reward. You'll see thousands, 4,000, 5,000 transactions. The bite size usually stays around the same. And so when we take a look at now, and then of course the amount of Bitcoin that is sent within that block, and it's, I would have to scroll too much to show you when we had that peak when the runes and ordinals came out, the blocks were exploding. I mean, the fees were sometimes more than the actual block reward. And so miners were incentivized to add more hash power to have a better chance of mining the Bitcoin, mining the block, and getting all that Bitcoin, the block reward, plus all the transaction fees for mining the block. We're seeing a decay in the amount of value that these miners are getting when they're mining a block, but also the amount of transactions. So it's safe to say, and you don't need to be a genius to figure this out, But the volume and the amount of transactions has been slow for BTC, but hash rate is still at an all-time high. So miners are still finding it valuable to pay the overhead they have to pay and continue to mine more Bitcoin, right? If they didn't find it a net positive EV, as in their expected value for spending the amount of money on their warehouses, their electricity costs, their actual hardware. If they didn't see a positive expected value from keeping those miners ASICs plugged into the network, then they would just plug them out of the system and then just roll with what they have. But they choose to keep the hash rate there, and they choose to keep their ASICs plugged in. And so they're seeing the value even at less fees, even at less transactions. The miners, the hash rate continues to make all-time highs. But the beauty of Bitcoin is if that does happen to where miners start to unplug, the difficulty rate will adjust, incentivizing more miners to plug in more ASICs and mine the BTC. So that's that. Now, as far as like a takeaway from this, fundamentally, this changes nothing on Bitcoin. As you can see, we're still mining blocks every 3 to 10 minutes. Nothing's changed. We're on block 888,814. So nothing from a fundamental level is changing. It's just transaction volume, transaction count is down. Now let's take a look at the overall markets here from CoinMarketCap. The market is at $2.75 trillion. Now my base case for the overall market cap has been anywhere between 6 to 10 trillion. I know that number is pretty broad, but I do think we hit 8 to 10 trillion dollars in overall market cap, especially if the narratives that are in play actually play out this cycle. And when I say this cycle, I mean going into 2026, and we can be in for an extended bull market with mini bear markets kind of layered in, 3-month bear markets, and then maybe a month and a half, 2 months of up only, and then another month of consolidation, maybe 2 months of downward price action, the markets reset and we go up. And then once you start getting that flood of institutional money, that flood of sovereign wealth fund money, that flow of government nation state money on top of everything from the infrastructure side with blockchain technology and some of the projects that are going to be the beneficiaries of that, like XRP, like Solana, like Ethereum, like Avalanche, like Hedera, like Algorand, like a bunch of these projects, you're going to see money's going to start flowing there. And so I say this to let you know, you want to make sure, like, the super speculative, risky stuff is great. I've gone super risk on. I've had 15% of my portfolio in high risk plays like meme coins, AI agents. It's all good. But what anchors my portfolio has and always will be BTC for that reason. And other solid altcoins like the ones I mentioned, like Ethereum, like Solana, like Cardano, like Avalanche. And so if you don't have exposure to those yet, and you're like, damn, David, you know what? You're actually kind of right. I'm thinking about it. This is the perfect time to start DCAing into these. I mean, you look at a project like Solana from $300 to $128 when nothing from the tech standpoint has changed. In fact, it's going to get better. Now, of course, if your thesis only was I'm investing in Solana because I just want to, I don't know, I think that the retail investor and the meme coin trading is going to send it to $1,000, then sure, that thesis is invalidated and you can reassess whether you want to have exposure to Solana or not. But my thesis for Solana has always been retail plus institutions, right? Plus stable coins, plus RWAs, plus a bunch of things. And it seems to be a favorite. You might not like it because you think it's too centralized. You might not like it because of failed transactions. You might not like it because 80% of the transaction volume came in from meme coins. But just because you don't like it doesn't mean you can't make money with it. And so you can not like a project and still make money with it. Solana, I recommend having some in your portfolio. I'm not saying some exorbitant amount, 5%, 10%, even if it's a couple percent of your portfolio, even if it's $1,000 of Solana, you get a 5-6x, that's 5-6 grand. No, that pays half your mortgage for a year. Just kidding. There's no way. I'm trying to think about that. Unless you're you're reverse Rob and you pay unlike him $25 for 2 coffees. All right. So let's take a peek at the rest of the market. So that's kind of my thesis as far as how I am maneuvering my portfolio and what I'm looking to do and what I'm DCAing in. For me, it's utility. You look at a project like XRP, it had that big rally up to Let's actually pull up an XRP chart. I know Forrest kind of looked at this today. Let's take a peek. By the way, are you guys excited for the weekend? What are your weekend plans here, my friends? Let me know. Oh, this is a nice setup here. Ooh, this might be a good trade here. Okay, why am I saying this is a good trade? And why did I do the ooh sound? Okay. This is on the daily, by the way. Okay, you had some bullish div, you had some bullish divergence on the daily chart, so that's good, obviously. But we had this downtrending channel, or we call it a wedge actually. We removed the wicks, we call this a wedge. Okay, so this was a falling wedge, even though it's more of a broader wedge. We got a break above, which is what you expect from a probability standpoint, right? Anything, if you just want to keep it simple, anything falling breaks up. Anything rising breaks down. So it's the opposite, okay? So a falling wedge pattern that has broken to the upside, but more importantly, this is what we wait for. This is a signal we wait for before we enter into a high conviction trade, and that is a positive retest. Because this line was resistance. We tap up, we fail. Tap up, we fail. Tap up, we fail. We break above. Great. We break above. We want to solidify the move. We want to make sure it doesn't end up being just a large deviation, a blip in the radar of this thing maybe trending down a little more. So, and this is on the 2-day. Let's go to the daily. The daily shows an even clearer picture. And actually, the daily shows you what a deviation looks like, okay? This is actually a perfect example of why you wait for confirmation. Because if you would have traded this breakout, you said, okay, XRP broke out. It had a 33% candle. It broke out of this falling wedge pattern. I'm going to enter here at $2.92. On a long, you would have been absolutely wrecked. Because we didn't get a retest. In fact, we gave 70% of this move back. And then when we attempted to retake this trend line again, we failed. The difference here is we break above the trend line. We've already had 2 days of trading information, trading data. And right now it shows you that XRP, this might be a good entry. So for me, if you're thinking about, okay, David, that sounds great. Where do you think I should enter? What's a good target price? If you want to be a disciplined trader, you wait for price to come down to $2.32. So with that being said, I'm going to follow my own advice. We're going to go on the platform that we use, is Buy DeFi, which if you guys don't have an account, I would highly recommend you get one. I love these guys. They're so great. Not just because we're partners with them, but every time I ever needed something, I was like, hey, look, I want to get back to the community. I want to do a trading competition. They put up $3,000 of their own money to fund that trading competition for the community. And so I like these guys. I love their platform, especially being in the US, not having to worry about KYC or VPN. It's an added bonus. And so if you don't have an account, man, support the people that support this channel. That allows us to bring you all the content that we do. Sign up for an account. Just try it out. If you don't like it, don't use it again. But it's a great platform. So for XRP, $2.32. I like to go a little bit above just in case we don't quite get through on the wick. So I will take the $2.35 trade. We're going to do a limit order here, $2.35. We'll go 1,500. Limit, 9x, isolated. Good to cancel, yes. And we're in. All right, so that's it's our open order. We also have another XLM long order open, a limit long. So this one, XRP, we're looking for it to fill at around $2.35. Now, once this fills, I will go in, depending on what price action does, I will go in and I will take a look at, okay, what did we see volume-wise? How has price reacted here? Did we get a spike in volume? I'll use some other indicators. I'll go to the lower time frames as well. And to make sure that this is not an invalidation, because I want to catch it off of this bounce. If we do get a little bit of a move back into this pattern here, I want to have my stop loss underneath $2.28, which was a low that we created on the daily chart, which sits right there. And you can see historically how important that price has been, going all the way back to February 6th of this year. This is where price consolidated, bounced, started kind of grinding its way up. And then we had that nice rally up to around $3. And then recently, right, just a few days ago, This is where price has been bouncing around. So I want to set my stop loss beneath this level. So probably around $2.26.5, because if we break below that, then my trade would be invalidated. We'll take a little bit of an L. But if it doesn't, and we're correct, and we get a move to the upside, we catch every single percent of that move. And then we'll be able to make some money on a 9X long trade. And so that's for Solana. I'm happy I got a trade in. I wanted to get a trade in on the live show today. So happy I got done that. And so that's XRP. That would be one of the other like solid utility projects that I'd be looking to add some exposure to at $2.40. And then BNB. Everything is pointing to a short squeeze on BNB. I'll explain to you exactly why. But first, let me wet my beak. As Mr. Wonderful says, just want to wet my beak. All right. This is the funding rate heat map from CoinGlass. Open interest the last 30 days. You take a look at BNB, okay? Going back to March 19th, the funding rates have been negative, meaning the shorts are paying the longs, okay? But when you go to the chart and you look at the price action, the price has been going up. This is on the 2-day. Another thing we're seeing on the 2-day, and let me know if you guys can see this, lower low, lower low, low, higher low. It's a bullish divergence. So bullish divergence on the high time frame, funding rates negative, meaning the shorts are paying the longs, so open positions. And so to me, this looks like it's setting up for a short squeeze. If this does become a short squeeze, the level you want to get into, and we tapped this once 2 days ago, is around $604.36. That would be the, I'm a disciplined trader, I want to wait, let me set a limit order. That would be the limit, that would be the number I would be waiting for, okay? But seeing how price is playing out here, we can go to the lower time frames, and we can see what BNB's been doing on the lower time frame. I always take a quick peek. Do we have any sort of patterns playing out here? You can argue this is kind of a rising channel, rising wedge pattern here, right? I'll just draw this, right? You essentially have a trend line here. Price is kind of grinding up. And if you really want to draw this, you go like this. And this is kind of just a deviation outside of that. But this is on a lower time frame. And then what I also like to do is I like to throw on this indicator, the price action concepts. I want to see what are some key levels of money that was traded. Also, what was our previous day high, previous week high, and what are those levels? And then the other thing as well, did we create any gaps on the lower time frame that I expect to fill, whether that is to the upside or to the downside? So you can see here we hit our discount zone, which also coincided with our previous day high, which is around $635. We do have a large order block here, which we saw a liquidity grab at this $625 to $628 level. And then the price of BNB from wick to high rallied around 2%. Now remember, this is on the super low time frame, 30-minute. But 19% of all trade happened at this order block between that price range, and you had about 2-to-1 buyers versus sellers. So that's positive. We go zoom into the 1 hour, we get a little more, I don't know if the right word is solid data, but you get more data and more, I would call it qualified data when you're looking at these levels and the price action. And so same idea here. And then I like to throw this off and let's see what our cloud is telling us. So 1 hour trend is green. This is great. Conversion line is above our baseline. This is also great. Price is above our cloud. That's our third indicator of great. The other thing we want to look at is where is price currently trading? It is trading at our baseline, which is our 26-day moving average. And you can see how it caught support right there. And these kind of moving averages, you have the 9-day is the blue one, and 26-day is going to be your red line, which is again your 26-day moving average. So the short term on the lower time frames is what I like to pay attention to, and that includes the 1 hour time frame. You can see it's catching some resistance there. Now, if we zoom into the 4 hour, you can kind of see just how perfectly price bounces. So if you use this indicator, you have confluence around $627. So that would be the first place I would start. If you buy into my narrative of there's going to be a short squeeze on BNB, I would look to $625 to enter into a long position on BNB. And we'll see how this plays out, because for funding rates to be this negative on an asset that is rising, it's either the liquidity is not there, there's a shitload of spot buying, or there's a short squeeze coming. And we take a look at the Binance stats. This is from Dune Analytics. Monthly active accounts, old and new, have been rising. Monthly transactions have risen, although it peaked in 2021. We've kind of seen a slow grind up, although this month so far, we are currently at lower than we ended back in February. So we'll see how that plays out. And then you look at the daily active accounts, the daily transactions. BNB is currently hitting around 4.2 million daily transactions. We know the kind of meta has shifted there. We also take a look at a project like PancakeSwap. And this is this along with other things is like the perfect gauge of, is activity actually happening on the network, right? You can look at transactions on the chain, Gray. You can have a lot of spoof transactions. You can have a lot of voting, right? Oh, governance voting, this many 5,000 transactions in a second. Didn't really bring any value to the network, right? PancakeSwap, on the other hand, it's a decentralized exchange. You look at this token is up on the day 14%, on the 7-day 67%. And so again, this was a project that we highlighted in our Patreon about a month ago, but it seems like the money's been shifting towards BNB. Add in CZ, add in Binance and their control, and not control, but how much of the BNB token they have, and that we can assume they won't be net sellers of the BNB token. So you have less potential sell pressure on the supply side or on the demand side. So all things to me point to this is a short squeeze. I think BNB makes another trip back up to that $725 range. All right, just taking a peek into the chat. If there's anything you guys want to take a look at, please let me know. Jimmy Bitcoin, Velo and XPR. No idea what XPR is. Blue Man Music, what's going on? FOMO Sapien, what's up, man? D-Godfather, I know from man, but didn't think that the market would go down this much. Alts are at levels of bear markets. Yeah, you know, this market has definitely threw a lot of people for a loop. People are trying to wrap their minds around what's going on. Should I be bearish? Should I be bullish? I think the big thing, and talking to Yusko on Tuesday, seeing the overall markets, I think the tariff thing has spooked a lot of people. The tariff wars, the trade wars, that spooked a lot of investors. I mean, we saw record outflows from the ETFs from Wall Street, even BlackRock's ETF. Finally, I saw a green day yesterday. Well, a substantial green day yesterday. So I think people are they're worried that tariffs are going to go into play. Inflation is going to tick back up. Prices are going to go back up. It's going to force the Fed to continue to hike rates. And the liquidity crisis for banks is already bad enough. And so people start talking stagflation. So the sentiment around Wall Street and macro is not good. But on the flip side, you got to think of it this way too. On the flip side, once that thing dies down, whether the tariff thing is done, like, all right, you know what? Reciprocal tariffs, we just drop our tariffs. That way we don't have to worry about your tariffs. Cool, great. Markets are going to like that. We see an immediate reversal and everything bounces like instantaneously. All the projects, the Hederas, the Avalanches, maybe the Ethereums, the ones that have been held back by the overall macro sentiment, you'll see massive pumps out of those ones. You'll see a massive pump out of Bitcoin. You'll see a huge pump out of the NASDAQ. Or we wait another 6 to 10 months, tariffs are accumulating and they haven't gone away. And then people are like, inflation's not going up, or the overall health of the economy is getting better, or you know what, maybe we overreacted to this thing, and then we see a reversal, but that's more 6 to 10 months down the road. What I would like to see is the whole idea of reciprocal tariffs. Cool, all right, yeah, sure. Come back, say, okay, you know what, we don't want these reciprocal tariffs. We're not going to throw tariffs on you either. That goes away. That becomes a trend. The markets like it. We see immediate rallies. Speaking of the markets, thought this was kind of funny. You guys, remember we shared the news this morning? Klarna, which is like your buy now, pay later, which is looking to go public. They partnered with DoorDash, allowing people to make payments on their food delivery orders. And so if you guys have seen The Big Short, which you haven't already, such a good movie, you got to go watch it. Christian Bale was an absolute stud. He's probably one of my favorite actors, him and Tom Hardy. And so they're called chimichanga default swaps. It's how you kind of, I mean, like, I don't want to make light of people's financial situations, but if people have to finance their food orders, and I know kind of like spending it on a credit card is the same thing, but man, that's just sad, dude. It's sad. I'm not trying to make fun of people. I know there's some people in some shitty financial situations, but it's not really what you want to see. It's pretty shitty. So, all right, I'm just gonna take another peek at the chat again, guys. If there's anything you want to take a look at, my thoughts, price action, just my thoughts in general, please let me know. What about Cardano? I love Cardano, dude. Let's take a look at Cardano. By the way, did you guys know one of my greatest skill sets is accents? I can do an Indian accent. I can do a British accent. I can do an Irish accent. I can do an Armenian accent, a Persian accent. I can do an American accent. And so maybe I'll bust them out randomly. But this was ADA. ADA is just range bound. This is on the 4 hour. Let's look at the daily. You know what? I want to start in the week. So we're seeing the bearish pressure. And you know what? If it wasn't for this candle here, I'd be more bullish on the current price action. You know, we're seeing some consolidation at a key resistance level or a key support level, which is around 68 to 70 cents. We're seeing these bodies get smaller, right? But this deviation here, this was that the U.S. is adding Cardano to its strategic reserve along with Bitcoin. That was this candle, and then we gave it all back the next week. But I like what you're seeing here. Anytime you see big moves and candles like this consecutive weeks, even on like a 2-day, you start seeing these doji candles. You start seeing those kind of spinning tops. This tells you that whatever the trend was leading into this, it's losing steam. And the trend obviously has been red. The trend has been down from our local swing high of $1.32 to a low of around 51 cents. That was a 60% retracement. We're currently sitting at around a 45% retracement from our essentially cycle high to date. To our cycle high. And so the momentum is waning for the bears. So are we going to spend some more time consolidating? We know Cardano's history. It can spend a lot of time consolidating. It'll lull you to sleep. It'll say, look here, I'm Cardano. Here's a pillow. Put your head down. Put your head down. Let me give you a head rub. Let me sing a lullaby to you. I'll lull you to sleep. And then all of a sudden, you'll just dump like cold water on your face. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Cardano's up 80, 90% in a day, in 2 days. And so that's what Cardano does, man. And so Cardano is the perfect asset if you want exposure to a project that plays into infrastructure, that plays into decentralization and governance. Buy Cardano, stick it in a long-term bucket, dude. Don't try to, I would even argue, don't even try to trade this thing, right? Now, if you catch it at key support levels or like generational bottoms, like if you caught it at like 28 cents or like, what was our bottom here for ADA, right? Let's take a look at our Pico bottom. It was 22 cents. Unless you get something like that, then okay. But Cardano is just a perfect asset. You know the team is great. You know the community is great. You know what they're building is valuable. Buy it, stick it in like a freaking, I don't know, stick it in a cold wallet, stick it in like iTrust with an IRA, and just forget about it for a few years. And then wake up and like, oh shit, this is pretty good. If you try to follow the price action and trade this thing daily, you're going to drive yourself absolutely nuts because, again, Cardano will lull you to sleep, and then all of a sudden you'll get a big splash of cold water. I mean, how long was this consolidation, guys? This range, I'm going to pull this here. So this range, okay, from the April 24th until November 6th, this range, we saw the POC It was just like the POC essentially turned into a limbo bar, right? We limbo up, limbo down, limbo up, limbo down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then all of a sudden you see the price start to just explode to the upside. And this lasted, what is that? April to November, 7 months of boring price action. And then in a matter of, and let's use this tool here. In a matter of 30 days, it 4Xs. It did nothing for 7 months, and 30 days, it gave you a 4X. So again, that's kind of my thesis on Cardano. I love the project. I have a crap load of Cardano, but it's not something I actively try to trade. It's just, especially when it gets into these zones, it's like, it's just boring. But again, buy it, stick it in a long-term place somewhere, whether that's a cold wallet or like a IRA for crypto, and just forget about it and check on it in like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Chances are you'll be ahead compared to where you bought it. Was a sponsor of one of the shows once it ended, barely spoke on that again. What are you guys talking about? Miguel, what are you talking about? Don't watch PR, absolutely. Okay, you're a big PYR guy. All right. I'm just taking a look at the chat here. I Trust got 8 at 40 cents. Am I late to the circle jerk? Dan, no, you're just on time, bro. Welcome in. Just you got to get in line. There should be one of those like salami ticket counter things where you go to the deli shop, you pull one of those things. Just make sure to grab one and get in line, okay? Crow. Oh no, crow. Okay, so there was a lot of. Okay, so a couple things on crow. One, camera, I don't want you to move. Jesus, give me 1 second, guys. Let me turn off AI tracking on my camera. That's one thing I hate. Like you turn a setting off, and then it'll just turn itself on you. And let me just. There we go. All right, perfect. Sorry about that. Okay, so Crow. So today on the show, we talked about Crow getting integrated with Chainlink CCIP. Very bullish. But I read somewhere, and I probably should have looked into this more, but they're essentially resurrecting 70 billion tokens, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, those of you in the chat. But Crow, they're resurrecting 70 billion tokens. Let's take a look. Chronos tokens burnt. So they burned them in 2021. The community approved a decision to restore them. Huh. Interesting. I should have looked into this a little more. You know what? I will look into this today, and then for tomorrow's show, I'll definitely have a breakdown and what that means. Which, by the way, tomorrow I'll be going live. So my kids have their first school soccer game. So I'll be going live in the morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be going live here on this channel for another TA show. And so I will have a breakdown of my thoughts on Crow and what this means and whether this invalidates certain investment theses or not. But just looking at the price action, again, you guys know how I roll. I like to start on the higher time frame. And so this value area we've had has been a key support level for Chronos. And we've had some massive rallies off of bounces here, right? We've had this rally. This was a 135% rally. This was a ginormous 200, a 3X. And that is where we're consolidating, okay? So if you are looking, and we always talk about, well, can we still accumulate in a bull market? Yes, you absolutely can. This is when you do it. When price is at a key support level and it's consolidating. That is where you accumulate, whether it's DCA or a big chunk buy. I would DCA in a project like Chronos. I wouldn't chunk buy, especially with what's going on with the tokens. And so we're there. We're at 7.22 cents is your essentially your springboard. that is every time price comes down here, we springboard to the upside. Now, we did have some consolidation here, but again, that ended up turning into a 3X. And you're here now. And you're seeing the bears are losing momentum. Again, look at the candles on the way down. Big bodies, big volume. Look at the candles we're seeing now. Small bodies, large wicks, liquidation candles. We can even zoom into the daily. You can see this range is getting tight. This is kind of setting up for a symmetrical triangle potential breakout. This is on the daily, by the way. Let's draw a couple of pink lines here. I mean, we're nearing the end of this range, right? So this is technically a symmetrical triangle where we're just bouncing up and down. Now, the probability of a breakout here is 50-50. Upside or downside, but I think the most important thing is here, as the thumbnail says, it's decision time. Is it going to break to the upside? Is it going to break to the downside? Here's the beauty of it. If it breaks to the downside, there's not really much downside it can break to until we get a absolutely massive support level, which I'll throw a flag up here. 7.216 cents. But to the upside, you got a lot of room to run. 9.4 cents would be my first level I'll look at on a potential resistance, and I'll drop a horizontal line here. 9.635 cents. We break above that. You're looking at 11 cents. You're looking at going into this next value area box, right? Or the lower end of it, which is around 10.8 to 11 cents. So easy way to play this. We start seeing a break to the downside. Don't try to front run this. Don't try to front run the short. Wait for a bounce. Put it in along at 0.7216 cents, and then look to ride that thing to the upside. If we get a break to the upside, though, again, we wait for validation. We wait for confirmation. We want to break, come back, retest, and then we enter on the retest, okay? That is what we did with our limit order that we just placed on XRP, is we're entering when we get the bounce. And if we don't get the bounce, it could, again, very well end up just being a deviation, come right back into this pattern and potentially break to the downside. And you save yourself a little bit of money by having a little bit of patience, having a little bit of discipline. So that's Chronos. All right. We got 137 people watching. Make sure you guys like the video. Also subscribe to the channel. We do this show Monday through Saturday. Now, Monday through Friday, we do it at 2 p.m. Pacific. Saturdays are all over the place. It depends, because I try to be an active father figure in my kids' life, so I like to go to their games on the weekends, and so I will work around that, but I will make sure you guys still get your TA stream. So tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, but the easiest thing would be to subscribe to the channel and just have a notification and a bell on. You'll get a notification 30 minutes before we go live. You'll know exactly when we're going live. And then Sundays are a fun show. Sundays is just let's chill, talk to the community, answer questions, personal or business, crypto related. And so that's on Sunday. Again, the Sunday times are also kind of everywhere. So again, make sure you subscribe. Tiomir Ivanov said, Triple V. That was my largest airdrop value-wise. And I normally don't like talking about how much money I got, but I got close to like 80K in airdrops from Triple V. It was a big one, dude. I sold the majority of it. I still have some left because I like the project. I like Eric Voorhees. I like what the project does. It's in a niche that I enjoy, that I think is going to be massive, which is, of course, artificial intelligence. And so I still have like 25% of that bag, of that airdrop bag left. I took profit on the rest at between $13 and $16, which ended up being the top. And I'm not saying that I timed the top, but I've seen this play out so many times. Airdrop builds up hype. A few ones that kind of went against the trend, like Hyperliquid kind of went against the trend. Barachain kind of went against the trend. But a majority of airdrops, you see a massive sell-off in the beginning. I wasn't going to get caught in that, but I did want to hold some because it was free. And so made some good money on that airdrop, but I like what they're doing. I believe it's got ties to Coinbase as well. And you know what? We can actually take a peek at a VVVVV chart. Boo. No, let's look here. Let's look Coinbase because Coinbase listed this thing right away. And again, to my point, right? Go the 4 hour. And of course, you know what? Actually, a better idea to do this thing some justice, we got to go to DEX tools. Because as soon as it got listed on Coinbase, it tanked. And so that's only going to show that. So Venice token currently sitting at $3.18. And this is the chart here. And I want to zoom into the 4 hour. Damn, it feels like forever ago. So this thing came out and it absolutely rallied. It skyrocketed. It got to a high of around $20. And then you saw that massive sell-off. And then price has been just chopping sideways, right? And you see that range just get tighter, right? You zoom in, you zoom out, you see that range is getting tighter. And so from a technical analysis standpoint, you kind of had this you kind of had this head and shoulders pattern, right? That broke to the downside. Now on the way up, you're looking to retest like $3.30. But long-term play for Venice, you look at, it's such a new token. Look at that beautiful Venice-shaped recovery. But you look at the token, and it got up to $20. If you believe in the founder, you believe in the vision of the project and utility, you're looking at a project that's down from high to current price, down 84%. And so this is one I would look to just add to a spot bag if it's something you want to do. If you believe, again, and the big thing for me here is Eric Voorhees. The guy's been in the space for a very long time. He's a high character individual, as far as I know, unless you guys have a story on him that I haven't heard of. High character individual. He's a builder in our space. And again, it's in a narrative and a sector, a niche that I am very bullish on, which is AI. So Venice token, 90% discount on an asset that hasn't changed fundamentally, to me is an absolute no-brainer. Any thoughts? What are you guys' thoughts on the markets here? What is one altcoin that you guys think is going to just explode? It's going to have a massive rally, massive users coming in. I'm curious. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Also, those of you that won the Almanac this morning, we ended up giving one to Spine Ticks because he came back at the end and I felt bad. So we sent him one too. Friday. Yeah, today's Friday, man. You guys got plans for Friday? Let me know. Can you look at Zbeck protocol? Caspa, Avalanche, Sui. Let's look at Sui. Oh, Sui, where are you, Sui? I think I'm right at my cost basis for where Sui's trading. I'm trying to find it here. There, no, that's Say. You know, I'm working on getting some music on the stream too, by the way. There you are. There you are. Yes, Sui. All right, weekly. Again, are you guys seeing a trend here? I mean, how many charts have we looked at so far? You guys seeing a trend? Lots of lost momentum for the bears, and you actually have a potential double reversal signal here. You have an inverted hammer. You had a spinning top the week prior. Zoom into the daily. Maybe more downside as we potentially come into this bear flag pattern here. But this is extended. The flag part is extended. So I would look to more of a kind of a rising channel here for Sui. Let's do this so you guys can get a visual. And this range is kind of expanding too. So this should break to the downside. It should break to the downside. That's what probabilities say. It should break to the downside. So now if it does break to the downside, we have this swing low here of around $1.96, or you have your kind of your no-brainer. Let's enter into Sui, $1.92. But from a fundamental standpoint, it's got I know we say it all the time, but it's got a lot of Solana vibes to it, man. Really does. It's fast, user friendly. It's got an active team. It's got a lot of money behind it. It's got a lot of VC behind it. And everyone likes to, everyone, when the word VC is brought up, everyone is the narrative is always negative. But think about it this way. If you were starting a business yourself, whatever you're passionate about, whether it's opening a restaurant, a food truck, I don't know, a store on Etsy, whatever. And you either had two choices. You had one choice of, hey, I'm going to bootstrap this thing. It'll take me 5 years, but dude, I'm going to do it. I'm going to use my own money. I'm going to pick up a second job. Cool. Great. Versus you get an investor, say, look, I'll give you $1 million, blow this thing up in the next year. I guarantee you now, people might sit there and say, it sounds really good to say I want to bootstrap this thing, but I guarantee you 99% of people would say, give me the $1 million. I can do this. I can do that. I can market. I can buy the best tools. I can use that to hire people. I can blow this thing up. I can expand to different places. So same thing with crypto, right? You look at the Cardanos, the Caspas. They have no VC funding, but they're also some of the slower movers. And I'm personally okay with that. But a lot of people are not. They want to put money in and they want the thing to fly within the first 6 months. And for the projects that do the fair launch, no VC funding, it's just not realistic. Unless you got a founder or someone coming in there who's got a name, who's got an image, who's got a shitload of money, and they just pour all their money into it and they act as their own VC. But if you get the VC money, it's like adding gasoline to an already lit fire. Now, obviously, there's some drawbacks to that too. The drawback to the fair launch is it takes longer. The drawback to VCs is now you have people to answer to. Hey, make the token price go up. It's kind of like being owning a company, having shareholders. You have a board of governors that their only job is what's going to benefit shareholders, what's going to bring value to shareholders. You have the same thing with VCs and crypto. So there's give and take to both sides. But it's not all negative when you have a lot of funding from a venture capital. Now, obviously, if it was like no VC funding at all and everyone had to play by the same rules fair launch, then okay, it will be a different story. But if you're able to raise capital and you're able to raise it at terms that are beneficial to you, if you're able to find that balance, that's great. If you're going to do the fair launch, no VC, that's cool too, man. Just know that the market moves fast and you might miss out on some niche narrative runs and grabbing market share in those areas. Especially if you're not paying devs to develop on your platform, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, you're going to be on a lot better footing. So that's just kind of my thoughts on the whole VC and everyone kind of viewing VC as a negative term. I don't know. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for the show today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed and come back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on the channel. We'll do some more TA. I love you guys very much. Stay safe. Enjoy your Friday night. See you next time. Peace.